so I think actually even my phone was dead, and the people I was working for were real jackasses. And the lady at the end of the night was offering shots to people. And being in early recovery and at a sober living, you are not allowed to drink. And so really having to rely on my connection with God to help me in that situation.
Everybody, that was just a little bit of a tidbit coming up from the episode that you're about to watch here. That's Jamie Tall. Ryan Bathgate and I have been working together now for the better part of a year on the Kaleidoscope Wednesdays. And up until just recently, it's been just the two of us having these conversations. He has helped unpack so many beautiful parts of my recovery. He has been a massive part of my recovery. And I felt that we should be sharing this with more people. So we've invited some other influencers and content creators and just people in recovery to come on and speak about their experiences. And this is a great example of how he's able to kind of unpack some of the beauty in that. So I really look forward to you guys checking it out. I do have to say, want to say that the title sponsor for today is Yatra Center once again. That's Yatra Trauma Center. They are located in Krabi, Thailand. And I recently went through a 30-day stay at the residential treatment program to address some of my own traumas. Some of them that were, there's a big T trauma stuff that happened while I was in active addiction, but also some of the underlying stuff that happened. And I got to say, the most transformative experience I've ever experienced. It was just an absolutely amazing thing. And I hope that more and more people can find out about this one-of-a-kind facility and really address some of those traumas. It's important to note, they are not a business run by businessmen. They're a clinic run by clinicians, and they know that where addiction is a smoke, trauma is a fire. Learn more about them at yatracenter.com. That's YATRACNTRE.com. And now here's the show. Thanks. Hello, everybody, watchers, listeners, supporters of all kinds. Welcome to another episode of Kaleidoscope Wednesday on the Ashes to Awesome podcast. I'm your host, Chuck LaFlange. With me in virtual studio, halfway around the world, is Ryan, checking in from Mission, BC, out in Canada. How you doing today, Ryan?
I'm okay. You can't outrace Father Time. I'll tell you that. I got some stuff. I got this thing called H. pylori.
Sounds complicated.
Sucks.
Yeah.
It's I guess I've had it for like 6 years and didn't even know. It's a stomach bacteria. It ends up giving me ulcers, and so now I'm on the medication for that, and it's just kicking the living what out of me.
There you go.
So my energy could be better.
Okay.
But it's not. So here we are.
Well, here's hoping you get through it okay. My guest is Jamie Tall, who is a recovery content creator. I'll dare say influencer even on Facebook. We've become quite close friends. We've done an episode together now, done a live stream or two together. She's become a big part of my life. Welcome to the show, Jamie. Checking in from Athens, Georgia. Right? Did I get it right?
Athens, Georgia.
Yay!
Yes.
There we go.
Home of UGA.
Right? Yeah.
That's right.
How you doing today?
Go Bulldogs.
I'm doing great.
Yep. So we're here to unpack kind of the success in your recovery and the beauty in your recovery. And you know what? Without a bunch of further ado, how about we just get right into that? So Ryan, why don't you take it from here?
Oh boy, okay. So Jamie, I guess right off the bat, I want to say, what? No, I don't care. I don't care, Chris. So like I've kind of done. I'm not gonna say homework, but I'm really impressed with your philosophies, your ability to engage, and especially, I think you have an outstanding ability to articulate with both an element of IQ and especially EQ, and I think that from my perspective is a very engaging skill set. I don't know if that's a natural thing for you or a skill you've worked on, but it's definitely something that speaks through your posts and your engagements. And so this has been a kind of I've been looking forward to this for a while. And what I haven't done is prepared, and that's kind of by design, because Well, I don't prepare well. I don't work well from scripts. It's as Chuck knows so well. So tell me a few things here. First of all, Athens, Georgia. Do you know who Channing Tindall is?
I don't think so.
Well, I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. He plays for them and came from University of Georgia. So just want to know if you had a clue who that was, but it's totally irrelevant. Now, I guess what I want to say is, like, my first question for you would be, let's just go scenario, okay? What happens when you're you're having a day, maybe, okay, and you pick up the phone. First thing you do is you call your sponsor, right? 101. Sponsor doesn't answer. Your next call doesn't answer. Your next call doesn't answer. How do you process that? How do you work with that? What happens? What do you rely on?
So actually, the first thing that I do is pray before I even call anyone. Even for guidance of who to talk to, who I should call for this, if that need be. But really for me, it is my connection with God that has basically led me to where I am today. And I've actually had that scenario. I remember in early recovery working at a restaurant and we were not allowed to have our phones. So I think actually even my phone was dead, and the people I was working for were real jackasses. And the lady at the end of the night was offering shots to people. And being in early recovery and at a sober living, you are not allowed to drink.
Yeah, I think that's true for most places. Yeah.
Yeah. And so really having to rely on my connection with God to help me in that situation.
Okay. I need some help then. Okay, and actually, I have a question that I just like to ask everybody that has a deep connection with some kind of faith. And this is going to sound like a really stupid question, but it's funny how the answers differ. What gender is your God?
My God is a male.
Is it male? Okay, and I mean that's pretty common, but it's amazing how many times I hear either female or neither. And I've heard before that the God that I believe in is beyond gender, and all those kind of make sense to me now. Like personally, I'm not a faith based person per se in a traditional sense, and I don't need to unpack that. But I believe heavily in spirituality, and spirituality to me is about connection and vulnerability mostly. And so has your faith always been with you? Is it always something you invested in, or was this like once recovery came, you really went for it?
So I was raised in a very religious denomination that was like works based. And even through that, I didn't exactly agree with the denomination because I felt like it was
what works-based is.
Sure.
Yeah. What do you mean by works-based?
Yeah. Meaning if you do this and check this box and check this box, then you'll go to heaven.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
okay.
Vice versa. If you don't, then you're looking at purgatory,
yes.
or it's gonna get.
And if you don't, you're going to burn.
Okay.
It's gonna get really hot if you don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I was thinking the same thing, Chris. But I'm trying a new skill that is called not interrupting, because I have a real bad problem with that. I'm a therapist and I get paid for that, but this isn't therapy, so I can't do that here.
Okay.
So, anyways,
continue, please.
So,
yeah.
Do you want to continue? There's more there, right?
Sure. Yeah. So when I came into recovery, the counselor that was at the recovery center was a pastor. And he taught me a very different kind of spirituality that was relationship based and truth based rather than works based. It was a like a relationship where I was already accepted and I was already loved despite what I did.
Hey, Ashes to awesome listeners. The following PSA is brought to you by the Phoenix. The Phoenix is not just a gym. It's a community where the real weight lifted is not just barbells, but hearts, minds, and spirits. Whether you're in recovery or simply choose to live a sober lifestyle, the Phoenix offers a range of activities from yoga to hiking, all led by people who've walked a path of transformation. So why not aim higher with the Phoenix? The first membership requirement is just 48 hours of sobriety. Rise from the ashes today and soar with the Phoenix. Hey listeners, let's take a moment to talk about something crucial. Carrying naloxone. This life-saving medication can reverse an opioid overdose in minutes. You might think, I don't need it, I'm not around opioids, but the truth is you'll never know when you'll be in a situation where you could save a life. It's easy to use and many places offer it for free or at a low cost. So let's be prepared and look out for each other. Remember, you might not plan on being around opioid use, but you never know when it'll be around you, and you could save the life of somebody that is loved. This is Jared Blaine with the Blacklist Podcast, and remember, you are loved.
So can I define the two in a really simple term?
Sure.
The workspace being formulaic and linear, whereas what you learned was more of a cyclical and emerging kind of faith, but completely reliant on your ability to be accessible. Is that correct?
To be able to receive. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And open
Yes.
to communicate.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, because it's really hard to have connection when one of the two people aren't accessible. You know?
Yes.
And okay. So I want to get into a little bit of a deeper question than that. And I guess the question, how do I put this? So there's an old saying by Viktor Frankl that says, he who has a why has little concern for the how. And so what is it that fires you up these days? What is it that gets you, what makes you feel alive? What is so important in your life that makes the other things noise?
For me, basically, it is encouraging and speaking out and loving people who are struggling, who feel unlovable, who feel unworthy, and showing them that they are worthy of love.
That's out. So that's awesome. But that also, like, my brain just went bing, because one thing I'm not sure if you have any familiar with our Wednesday Kaleidoscope show, but we talk a lot about the 4 tenets of what it is to be in a true relationship, and that is to be heard, to be seen, to be lovable, or to love and to feel lovable. And that obviously that last one is that's the mountain to climb. How do we get to a place of feeling lovable? And so, what does that look like for you to feel lovable?
So for me, it was really establishing what I thought of myself
Mhm.
and what God said about me.
Okay.
And like the truth, what the truth of that was. It was really like what God said about me first, and being able to believe that and dismantle the false beliefs that I had been programmed to believe, that I have been like falsely told, like all of these things, and dismantling those and being able to look at these things and say, like, well, what is the truth in this? And what is the evidence behind the truth too? Not just like a blind faith, but like, what is the truth with the evidence by this?
And that's what makes it tangible.
Mm-hmm.
Or in other words, just not an idea. So yeah, you say, I mean, what you just said really, really speaks to me in a personal way, I guess. And so I guess my question is like, do you remember the moment that first happened?
I do. I do remember the moment that it first happened. And I was actually, um, I was working steps with a sponsor, and I can't remember which sponsor it was because I went through quite a few, and I've gone through all the different fellowships, all the A's, um,
Yeah.
and the R's too, so
Yeah.
I remember I was working this specific step where I had done a very thorough fourth step, and then, fifth step with the sponsor. And I had like a 5-star notebook, and it was, full of, your resentments, your fears, and then your sexual inventory. And my sponsor, it was like a 5-star notebook, and it was like full, like all of these things, right?
Yeah.
And I remember my sponsor told me to take it home and meditate on what does God want me to see in this? And I really began to like have a conversation like, well, truthfully, God, according to all these things in my 5-star notebook, it doesn't look like you're very approving of me because of all of these terrible things that I've done. So how am I supposed to turn my will and my life, my thoughts and my actions over to the care of you when I don't even know how you feel about me? And the next day, I was over at my mother's house, and I was sitting across from my daughter. She was 5 or 6 years old. Her hair was a mess. She had food all over her face, and she was like scribbling with a crayon in this coloring book. And I was just looking at her in this adoration, like, oh my goodness, this is the most beautiful creature I've ever seen. Just so much love pouring out. And at that moment, God spoke to me, and he said, that is how I look at you. And that is what
Oh,
changed my view forever.
to be of error is to be human. To be of forgiveness is to be divine. Interesting. So, how old's your daughter now?
She's 13.
All right, so you got a few years of seeing yourself in a different reflection every time you look in the mirror.
Definitely.
That's interesting. That's definitely interesting. Can I ask some different questions?
Sure.
How have you been challenged? How has your faith been challenged? How has your recovery been challenged? How is this? The question is, maybe, yeah, I'm going to say it anyway. I'm starting with that because really what I'm trying to do here is show how powerful struggle really is, and how it I always say, I can tell you I'm the greatest guy in the world sitting in a dinghy floating down a river on a hot sunny day, but when that storm hits, the answer's probably a lot different. And so how has struggle made Jamie who Jamie is?
So there are a couple of things. I can talk about things in my earlier recovery, and I can talk about things in my later recovery. Which one would you rather?
Well, for me, since I've been around for 650 years, I want to hear about the later stuff. But we have a demographic of all walks of life and all different. We have a demographic of people who haven't discovered recovery yet. So I think both are quite valuable, to be honest with you. But me personally, I got my struggles, and I've been at this a long, long time, and some of those struggles just keep reappearing in the same way. And like, hey Ryan, you got a lesson to learn. Hey Ryan, that lesson's still here. Hey Ryan, are you dumb? Like, come on. So I'm just wondering, like, so why don't we start with what you want to talk about?
Okay, so we'll talk about the earlier first. We'll kind of go in chronological
Yeah.
order.
Okay.
Okay, so at 90 days sober, my mother took custody of my children.
Mm.
And I felt like somebody had died.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to fight it, but because I was living in a sober living facility in the state of Georgia, you are considered homeless.
Mm-hmm.
So I lost.
That's the same in Canada as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For me, because of the trauma that I went through in my addiction, which included a lot of there was like human trafficking involved and just violence and abuse. So for me, I had the opportunity to stay at my sober living for as long as I wanted to, because it was on a campus right next to UGA. So I had like my own apartment and my rent was really cheap. And it was safe. That was the big thing. It was safe. I had accountability. I had community, right? And even when I had up to, 3 years sober, my contract, from the judge said that my children were allowed to come spend every other weekend with me. Well, my mother wouldn't allow it because she said, "You're living in a rehab with a bunch of druggies," and I'm just thinking, this is the safest place. We get drug tested three times a week. There's nobody here doing drugs, so
Yeah, there's a cultural lag there, though. Like that's that Nancy Reaganism that just doesn't seem to go away. Yeah, sorry for interrupting, but yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
So it was really hard for me. So I ended up moving down the street into some townhouses where the staff lived, actually. So I was still in community, and I ended up being president of the board of directors of that sober living
Cool.
at one point. So it's still very involved, but it was just like working through those things. There was a point where I was trying to get my massage license. So I am a medical massage therapist and I work in the community. I created a protocol for massage with people in recovery and trauma-informed massage. So introducing safe touch to women who have been trafficked and traumatized and abused, and men as well. And so when I went to go get my massage license, I passed the test on the first try. I had somebody from the board who was advocating for me, and they denied me. They denied me twice. They denied me twice because of my background and my record, and also because my massage school had closed. And
Stigma.
I knew, yes, stigma. So finally, I went the third time. So it was what should have taken 2 months took me 14 months to get a massage license, which was really just like the opening of this amazing career that I needed to be able to be fully self-supporting and be able to like pay off, all of my debts and all of these things. So struggling through that, through getting denied twice, and then finally the third time going in person to the board and saying, "Hey, please give me a massage license. I just want to help people. These are the things that I have done at 3.5 years of recovery. These are the courses I've completed. These are my letters of recommendation from probation, from the, sober living, and just being able to be resilient in that and say, you know what, no matter what, I'm not going to go back out. I don't care if things aren't going my way. I know that this is worth fighting for, and I'm going to keep getting up and I'm going to keep fighting."
So, there's a couple things happen there for me. I want to touch down on something here, because what you've done is I can relate to somehow as a therapist. You've changed the lives of many women, and especially in their ability to trust both other women and other men, and most importantly themselves in situations that could be quite vulnerable. Can you think of a time that you have helped somebody that has transformed their life?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's been lots of things. There's one woman in specific that I'm thinking of that I worked with, and she actually got pregnant by her father and had twins. And that was really hard because when I first started working on her, she was real angry and skittish, and of course had a lot of like mental health. But now she is, like a leader in our community. And it was just being able to like accept the place that she was with her mental health and just be kind and encouraging and just loving to her, just like serving her where she was at. And that was something really amazing. And I just love to be able to see her in the community today for advocating for women who have been abused. And that is something that is really awesome. That is one, but there are a lot of women.
Okay. How did that change you?
I mean, it just like fills me up with joy. It's just like seeing these women go from feeling powerless and really like in their own mind being powerless to being like powerhouses, where they are speaking out and changing lives and not scared of the things that they've been through.
Are we talking about them?
Well, them, I mean, and me as well.
Yeah,
You know?
that's kind of where I'm going with that.
Right. Yes.
Is
yes.
like, because I'm assuming that in that moment, we all experience these things where time and space are transcended through the power of emotion, and we almost break through this crust of our existence into an openness to potential that we didn't even know existed. And it feels to me like that moment has happened for you specifically with this one individual you're talking about, and then obviously as it happens more and more, we become more used to it, but it doesn't change the impact of that. And so Jamie today talking to me here right now must be an extremely different person than the one that very first impacted that first person and had that change. And we call that a paradigm shift or a spiritual awakening. I mean, I guess there's many words for it. And so for me, what you just told me was that you are an exceptional human being to begin with. And I say that because your power of resiliency, which to me is one of the most phenomenological characteristics of the human experience, that your power of resilience has become contagious like a smile. And I don't know you, but I'm gonna guess that it's something you really appreciate, not just about yourself, but how you're able to transcend that into another human being's experience, and then think about that butterfly effect, and on and on and on. Now, as a therapist, it's not very often I come across successes that I hear about. I have to wonder. And I choose to wonder that I've helped thousands of people because of all the people that have come in contact with them by helping one single person. So for a second, can you just think about how many, not just women, how many lives you've helped transform by being resilient enough to go through 14 months, 2 denials, and a plethora of stigma and old worldviews. And at any given time, you could have gave up. Any time then. And it would have been okay to give up because it's hard. And so to you, for me today, I want to pay deep respects to you as a woman, to you as a human being that encompasses the true power of the human spirit. And I'm honored to be a part of this today. I'm glad you're answering these questions with such honesty, because it's really, really filling my heart. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So that's the beginning. How does struggle affect you today?
So probably the hardest thing that I have been through, minus my mom taking my kids from me when I had 90 days sober, was my divorce. Recently, it was just finalized January 2nd. And it was, I got married October 10th of 2021. And it's like one of these things where you do everything right and you still get screwed over.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you do everything right and you still got screwed. And you're like, wait. But I did all the things like if I can speak from a sense of faith of people who are, followers of the faith, I consecrated myself. I sanctified myself. I stayed celibate for a period of time. You know what I mean? I did all the things that a Proverbs 31 woman in the Bible would have done, right, for this marriage and throughout the marriage. And I still got screwed. And that was so hard. That has probably been the most challenging thing that I've been through, and the most devastating thing that I have been through. However,
Yeah.
there has been amazing things that has happened since the, what do you call it, dissolution of that marriage. And I have been really thrusted into a new season and also new experience of things that I can help other women with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I think that there's men out there that can learn from you too. I don't think it's exclusive to gender, and maybe I'm wrong. I've never been divorced, so to have an opinion would be obtuse. I've also never been married, but I've been engaged for like 6 years now or something like that. I don't know what it is. Most importantly, so I don't use. Let's see. I don't question the workings of the universe, and that's like that old tale, could be bad, could be good. Who knows? I know that things are hard, and I'm a university graduate. I've spent hours in classrooms, and by far my greatest teacher has been struggle, has been pain. And I know that love does not exist without pain. Life does not exist without death. Water does not exist without dry. One implies the other. And so in this life you're living today, what strength have you gained from that experience?
definitely knowing that like I can trust what is unfolding in my life. Like I can trust what God is doing because he knows what's best for me. And if he takes something away from me, it's because it was not good for me. And if he moves me in a different direction, it's because it's going to be good for me. And also that he's not going to let anything come upon me unaware. And also that he taught me a lot of lessons for my next endeavor, because I will be a wife again. I'm sure of it. And this time I do have some new wisdom on it,
And
so
you will be a wife again, according to Jamie, and the life Jamie wants to live, not bending and cutting corners to make someone else happy,
right.
and then having that come back to you and ultimately not working out. When we are not authentic, we are out of rhythm. When we're out of rhythm, we're out of touch with the organic world or the spiritual world, whatever way you want to look at that. And I think it's just like I value struggle so much because of how much I learn about who I am in this world. And I always say that if I had it my way, if my plans went the way that I was going to go, then I can guarantee you I would be on my third or fourth marriage, and just a douchebag. I know I would be, because the things I wanted from life were very material and very much about what you think about me and not what I think about me. and to me, that's a hollow existence. And the only way that I found out was by hurt, by going through stuff and having difficulties. And I had a question that was, I want to go back a little bit. Actually, you don't have to go back. I I would like to hear your definition of the difference between comfort and safety.
So comfort for me, I can get comfort from things that are not healthy. So I can get comfort from food. I can get comfort from cuddling with random men. I can get comfort from charging up my credit cards on a shopping spree, right? But feeling safe is, for me, I feel like it's more like pure, like good. Safety is like good for me, like safe. In my house, I feel safe, right? I know there are no threats. I know that I am protected because I have a lock and a chain on my door. I know that I'm going to be nourished because I have food in my fridge. I know that I'm going to be warm because I have the heat that I can turn on, right? I have blankets and I have a comfortable bed. You know what I mean? Like that is like safe. I think of barriers, walls, protection when I think of feeling safe.
Do you think safety has an element of peace to it?
Absolutely.
Do you think comfort does?
It can, but it's not always, it doesn't always have the effects of long lasting.
Right. I see. I feel like if I have peace in comfort, I feel like I'm being dishonest with myself. I feel like it's fake. Like I'm creating that to make comfortable okay. But when I'm safe, I don't question that peaceful existence. And I know that like in my home, it's the same. And I'm a sanctuary guy. Like I don't like having people over at my house because I start getting anxiety. You know what I mean? Like that is my space, and I got my kids there and my wife there, and everything is great. And I don't question whether or not it's peaceful or not. But I grew up in chaos. Comfort and chaos are very familiar things to me, and not for 1 second do I find peace in that space. I can tell myself that I'm peaceful, but I'm lying to myself, and I do that a lot. And I just wonder, like, I wonder if this is a human thing or a Ryan made this up in his head thing, which is something that happens all the time, I'm sure. And so it's interesting to get your perspective from that. There was another question I had, but I'm a bit of a dory with my memory, so I don't remember what I was going to say. So where are you at today? Like what's Jamie's world like today? What is like how do I want to put this? How do you love today?
So today, well, I have my son who just moved in with me on January 10th. And that has been amazing. So loving him has been.
Now I have to interrupt there real quick, if you don't mind, Jamie.
I was waiting for it.
I do have to interrupt on that one. Of course, we did have the pleasure of meeting Dominic on the show 2 weeks ago now. I guess it was, right? So 2 Wednesdays ago. So folks, if you're paying attention right now, go back and check that one out. Can't remember the episode number offhand, but it'd be the Kaleidoscope Wednesday before last. And Jamie, and Dominic got to speak to some of the awesomeness that is, that he's experiencing these days in his mother's recovery. So sorry, I haven't said much the entire episode.
I knew you were going to plug that.
Jump in. I had to. It's my job. It's my job.
I wanted to plug it, but I was like, you know what? Chuck will get it. Yeah.
Okay. So please continue, though, Jamie. Sorry for interrupting. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Jamie. Yeah.
Loving with wisdom is what I would say.
What's wisdom?
Wisdom is being able to step back and consider before I speak.
I need some wisdom.
Definitely. taking the things that I've learned and applying them to how I respond and how I move forward.
You ever heard the formula that experience plus knowledge equals wisdom?
I have not.
Oh, well, we learned something new. So that's kind of how I look at that. Lots of experience, the knowledge part I'm working on. But no, I like how you've taken. So to me, love is this evolutionary thing. It's not, as human beings, we have this prefrontal cortex and this ability to be rational. We think about the future, we think about the past. But really, I believe the thing that's kept us on this planet for 125,000 years is our ability to create love for one another through a medium of vulnerable communication. And I think that's been happening since we started. I look at when we're born, doctor smacks us in the ass, we cry. We know two things. We know love and hunger. And so what we don't know at that point is trust. And so trust, to me, I think we learn that when love is broken. And that's how we understand what trust is. When we are hurt, when the yang of love, the yin and the yang, love being one side, pain being the other, that's when we experience what trust truly is. And so it is interesting to me to put value into trust, because it is also an admission that pain is a part of our process just as much as love is. And so when I can keep it that simple, it is that when I'm vulnerable, you now have, I have honored you by giving you space to be able to hurt. And so the trust part becomes important. Now, part of the human condition is every human being that is in my life is going to let me down one way or another. It's inevitable. And I'm going to do the same for them. Who I want to be as a human being, I just want to be able to, I don't do this, but I want to. I want to be able to look at that person and say, thank you for being human, because that hurt. You know what I mean? And honor the fact that we are in this relationship that is very well earned. I'm a very closed off person, and I don't let a lot of people in. A lot to do with my own history. But if you've earned the space to hurt me, then that means you've earned the space to love me. And if I can love you back, then we have created something that transcends space and time. And that is the evolution of the human experience, in my opinion. So what I hear from you in our talk today is a really deep, visceral understanding of the importance of vulnerable communication and through a medium of love. And that is just such a cool thing, especially just in this 40 minutes of talking. So do I have more questions? Chuck, are you going to cut me off?
Well, the reality is I
okay.
do have to kind of cut you
Jamie?
off now. So sorry. I
Well, I know
started
you
some
do,
new problems with my mic.
But I wanted one more.
Let's give it another few minutes. You can have another good back and forth here. How's that? Another good exchange before we get into daily gratitude.
Okay, Jamie.
Yeah.
Jimmy, what does it look like? You got. I don't know how old you are, but let's assume we live to 80. The future is unwritten. So I have a theory. There's yesterday, fictional, completely one perception of a 360-degree circle that we see based on where we're at that time, which makes it mostly fictional. We have tomorrow, which is completely fictional. Anything we come up with, it's unwritten. What we have right now, the only thing that really exists is the right now as we live. The only way we access that is through emotion, through feeling, through sensory. An old saying, you have to lose your mind to come to your senses. In other words, the cognitive mind keeps us from being in the moment as the earth is spinning around the sun. So when we are in emotional connection, we are in connection with the entire organic world, the universe itself. How do you want to write your future? What does it look like? And I don't need like the whole thing, but there's an understanding from, I like to think from an emotional perspective of who I want to be moving forward and how I want to be with those people that I love. So what does that look like for you?
It definitely looks like prioritizing for me. prioritizing where I want to spend my time, because time is the most valuable thing that you can give someone or something.
Without refunds,
And
yeah.
yes, absolutely. So, prioritizing where God is directing my steps to spend my time, I feel
Great
like
answer.
is the greatest act of love.
Oh my god! See that, and that's it. I mean, honestly, like I guess I ask these questions with an idea of what I want to hear a little bit, which is probably arrogant on my part, but you know, and you know, and like you know, when you ask me how I want to write my future, it isn't about T4s, or I guess in states it's not T4s. It isn't about tax slips or property or what I'm driving. It's about looking back at the rest of my life knowing I don't regret. And I did everything I can to love everyone I could and be an agent of peace for everyone that I encountered. And it's just really that simple. And how that happens, I have no idea. And I don't really care. I just know that that's what I want. And if I want that, then it's possible. My potential is unlimited, just as like yours, Jamie, and yours, Chuck. And I know that as long as I can appreciate a sunset, then I can appreciate life itself. The lens of beauty is my choice. And so now I'm going to stop because I can go on probably another 40-minute rant on that alone.
Yeah.
Chuck knows me too
Thank
well.
you for not making it weird.
It.
Thank you, because I was going to have to cut you off, and it was going to get really awkward.
I know.
And here we go. Here we go. I'm going to give Jamie, before we do daily gratitudes, because this conversation, and by the way, I think I have spoken less in this episode than any episode ever in the history of the show. And to both of you, wow, great job. It's not often that I don't feel compelled to say something, and wonderful.
Well,
as I'm
sitting
here
correcting
listening,
me or saying I'm doing something wrong, so
or cutting you off from a tangent, right? Let's be honest.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Listen, Jamie, it seems as the whole theme in this has been the struggle. I feel asking you one question of my own, and that is to if you could say to people that are at whatever stage in whatever recovery they are in, or whatever's going on in their life, when they're facing struggle, what do you got to say to them?
Keep it moving. Just keep it moving. I mean, tough times are going to come. They're not going to stop coming. I wish I could tell you you're going to have a peace-free existence, a peace existence. Like it's just, everything's just going to be wonderful. But honestly, I will tell you that the further that I get into recovery, the more struggles and challenges that I run into. I just am better equipped at handling them now because of the things that I've learned. So always keep it moving. Get back up. Keep going. Don't put a lot of time into, other people's negativity and what they think. It's, it's your life. It's between you and God and you and your family, and just keep it moving.
I think,
awesome.
I think there's a big
you
difference
could have
there.
5 seconds. Okay.
5 seconds. I think a big part of that, Jamie, and I'm imposing, but also I think you're a lot better equipped because of where you come from, where your heart's coming from, and I think that's a big difference from when before you found this journey, because you know where your heart's coming from now. It's not a mystery. So I'll just stop there.
Okay, well said. Sorry, Jamie, the dynamic is such that I have to make sure that I'm on top of this guy all the time, right? Otherwise,
Gotcha.
Love you, Ryan. It's true.
I talk a lot. I know.
Listen. That takes me to my favorite part of the show, and that is the daily gratitudes. Everybody, daily gratitudes are brought to you today by, me. I am looking for funding, guys, in a big, big way. If you could help out, I would very, very much appreciate it. I'm in Krabi, Thailand. I'm trying to come up with money for my education visa so I can get myself some stability for a year. And after years of active addiction, I tell you, stability really does mean something. With that education visa, it buys me a year. I also take a course for 48 weeks to learn the Thai language while I'm here. And that way, of course, I can, kind of immerse myself into the culture a bit more. The reason that I'm in Thailand after attending the Yatra Treatment Center to address some of my traumas, I decided to stay because the cost of living is so much less here. And back home, I wasn't going to be able to continue spreading the message full time. And that is what I live for. So please, guys, anything you can do to help out would be very much appreciated. There'll be the address here up at the top, email addresses that you can send. Either if you're in Canada, you can send an Interact e-transfer. You can PayPal from anywhere in the world. And if one of those two options doesn't work from you, of course, you can hit the GoFundMe page at huapodcast.com/GoFundMe. So thank you very much, guys, and back to the show. Jamie, of course, let's start with you. What you got for some gratitudes today?
I am grateful to be able to hang out with you guys and just share experience and unpack some things and perspective and sharing it with the world.
Awesome. Ryan, what you got for some gratitudes?
So today I'm really grateful because I think that this talk we just did, I think it has the potential to impact a lot of people in a lot of different places in their recovery, outside of the recovery, in their humanness. And I think that Jamie sharing her vulnerabilities is going to have a huge impact in people that we'll just never meet, never know exist, and their kids and their moms and their brothers and uncles and all that. And so this has been an episode about being an agent of peace, and I think we all exemplify that in this one. I'm just super grateful. Jamie, I'm super grateful for you coming on. I was excited about this. Like I said, I watched some of your stuff, and I'm a huge fan. So it is, yeah. I feel like a little teenage boy at a New Kids on the Block concert. Oh, and my beautiful wife and kids.
Cool. I didn't want to have to edit that in or later for you. Okay, right. So, for myself, guys, I am absolutely grateful for this conversation. It's amazing. Jamie, having you as a part of my life has been just profound in its own way, right? So, absolutely. And, I'm your next ex, so, I'm grateful for that too. There's an ongoing thing there, guys. That's not just me being creepy. That's like an ongoing thing.
You're a long way from absence, buddy.
Anyway, I kid. I'm also grateful to every single person who continues to watch, listen, like, share, comment, do all the things down at the bottom. Because every time you do any one of these things, you're getting me a little bit closer to living my best life. My best life is to continue making a humble living, spreading the message. The message is this: if you're in active addiction right now, today could be the day. Today could be the day that you start a lifelong journey. Reach out to a friend, reach out to a family member, call in a detox, go to a meeting, go to church, do whatever it is you have to do to get that journey started, because it is so much better than the alternative. And if you have a loved one who's suffering an addiction right now, you're just taking the time to listen to this amazing conversation. If you could just take one more minute of your day and text that person, let them know they're loved. Use the words,
You are loved.
That little glimmer of hope just might be the thing that brings them back.
My body's getting cold. My life is running low. Feel me falling. My life is running out. I pray I make it now. But if I don't, it will be okay. I'll find you another day, and I'm not scared to go. It will be okay. I'll find you another way, and I'm not scared to go.